Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Izzowned by Dantonio podcast. My name is Mike. Sorry for the couple week absence. Decided to take a break, and it wasn't because I was too lazy to make one. Not at all. I decided, I was getting a little bit too emotionally invested into these, but you know what? I think it's time to start this again with the news that just came out. This Miles Bridges thing. I'm not going to really go into this too much. I think it's not that big of a deal. But Bridges' mother allegedly got a sum of $470 from an agent on separate occasions. They believe his name is Dawkins. If this is true, and MSU believes it's true, they should immediately sit Bridges down for a game. But if they do not believe it's true, then they should keep playing him because they'll probably need him later on. Here's the thing about this. There have been similar payments like this made from an ineligible athlete. I believe an athlete from Miami got a $400 from someone, and he only had to sit out one game, and he got his eligibility back. So if MSU can just sit Bridges down one game, maybe they'd be okay. But if they believe that this is nonsense and this is not true, which I believe Izzo has nothing to do with this, I think this is more of an agent thing. And I also believe Bridges had no idea. They were just giving it to his mom, probably. And you look at these other athletes. I believe Sexton got over $10,000. Bam Adebayo from Kentucky got over $70,000. Dennis Smith, $50,000 from agents. Bridges only got $400, so the penalty should not be as severe as those guys. But again, this is more of an agent thing. I don't know if it's a program thing. Izzo himself wasn't paying the athletes. Krzyzewski and those guys weren't paying the athletes. But if they knew about this, any of those coaches, their programs could be in trouble. But let's move on. Yeah, University of Michigan is a joke right now. Last year, they paid their offensive coaches a combined $11 million. That is with their offensive genius head coach, Jim Harbaugh, their quarterbacks coach, Pep Hamilton, and their offensive coordinator, Tim Drubno. Both of those guys made $1 million. And they made $1 million to make a complete joke of Michigan's offense. I probably watched 4 or 5 Michigan games last year. They were terrible on offense. They were one of the worst offenses I've seen out of any Power 5 team. They probably have the worst offense out there. Maybe Rutgers was worse. Maybe Oregon State was worse. But Michigan, it was just pathetic. And to watch Michigan fans go out there and make Brandon Peters their savior, and then after 4 games just destroy Brandon Peters, it's crazy. It's funny, because they get on the bandwagon of this player as a savior, and when he doesn't pan out in 4 games, they're all off the bandwagon. It's a joke. Then they went out and they got McElwain, which you're a bad coach when your specialty is the offensive side of the ball and your offense is terrible, which it was in Florida. But if what's his name is eligible, Patterson, if Patterson is eligible, U of M could be a good team. But let me tell you something. Last year's offense, it was a joke. Running play actions on 3rd down in the 4th quarter, running the ball up the middle every time, no creativity whatsoever. Michigan State's offensive coaches are making a combined $6,500. That is Mark Dantonio and his offensive coordinator, Ed Warner, making $6,500, so about half as much as Michigan's. And they're running creative plays all over the place, running speed options, going from the spread offense to the pro offense in 2 different plays, flea flickers, fake speed options, wide open guys down the field. And guess what? They can actually develop a quarterback, which Jim Harbaugh hasn't been able to do in 4 years. He hasn't been able to develop one quarterback, and going out to get Shea Patterson is just admitting he can't develop a quarterback. So whatever. When they go 8-4 this year because their schedule's brutal, I don't want the UMN fans screaming to the hills. And really, they have a lot of losable games on there. Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State. They're going to lose to Ohio State, Michigan State. Probably lose opening night to Notre Dame. Wisconsin at home. They should win that game, but Wisconsin, because Harbaugh's only got one top 10 win in 4 years, I wouldn't trust them. Yeah, I'd probably take Wisconsin. Penn State at home. Penn State's a really good team. Could probably give that one to Penn State too. This could be a 7-5 football team. To be even with Shea Patterson, and without Shea Patterson, it could be a bad year for Jim Harbaugh. And those fans, they'll get on you in 1 second. They'll love you, and then when you have one bad season, they'll hate you, like they did with Brandon Peters. Okay, let's move on. Yes, indeed. Michigan State is the Big Ten champions in basketball, which last Saturday included the largest comeback in Big Ten history. But none of this is important. The only thing that is important is setting up for March. When the committee came out and put them as a 3 seed, I firstly got very emotionally disturbed by that because they use all these metrics, quadrant wins, but they don't seem to use the eye test at all. It's like, haven't you watched Michigan State all year? They're clearly the best team in the country. The way they played against Purdue, their comeback against Northwestern. No other team in the country is coming back down 27 at Northwestern. No way. But Michigan State found a way to do that. And I found it funny that they had the banner already made before the Illinois game. It's like they knew they were going to beat Illinois. I know Illinois is bad, but they gave them some troubles in the first half. But this team, they fought through hard times. They lost to Ohio State, Michigan in the same week, but they were able to get through the tough times. Purdue had a 3-game losing streak. Michigan State almost lost to Rutgers, and they were able to weather the storm, which is very impressive. Get ready for March. I think this team should definitely be the favorite to win the national championship. And I'm going to say Michigan State is going to be a 2 seed. Right now, they were ranked, 11th by the committee in the committee's eyes. What I think will happen for Michigan State is I think they're going to play Wisconsin first round. I think they're going to beat Wisconsin. They're going to play Michigan in the next round. That's going to be a really tough game. Michigan's a good team. I think they'll win that one. That's a quadrant 1 or quadrant 2 win? I think it's a quadrant 1 win. And then a quadrant 1 win against either Purdue or Ohio State in the finals. I think that makes sense for them. So I think Michigan State will get a 2 seed. I think that'll be enough to move them up to the 2 line. I still don't think the committee respects their win over Notre Dame enough to put them at a 1 seed line right now. So I think the 2 seed is I think the 2 seed makes sense for them. That's what I think they'll be. Right, and at Wisconsin, they already played Wisconsin earlier this year. They beat them 76-60 at Breslin. This one's on the road, and Wisconsin's been playing some great basketball. They beat Northwestern on the road. That's a tough win. Michigan knows that. And they beat Purdue. Great win there. Their defense has really improved. They get good minutes from Brad Davidson. That Van Fleet guy, he's actually a pretty good guy off the bench. Khalil Iverson, a little bit down. But, of course, the mighty Ethan Happ, who went on a tear against Michigan State earlier. I think Wisconsin's a team where if you get on them early, they'll give up. But you can't keep them in the game. I think this game will be close for most of the game. I think Michigan State pulls away at the end. I think they win by 8 or 9 points because of free throws at the end. So that's what I think. I think Michigan State will end the season 28-3, 16-2 overall in the Big Ten. Good enough for their own, not a share, but their own Big Ten championship. And I don't want to hear all the U of M fans coming out and saying that doesn't mean anything. The regular season, that's complete nonsense. You get a trophy for it. Complete nonsense. If Michigan was winning this, they'd say the opposite. They wouldn't say it meant nothing. Whatever. All right. Yep, this ESPN story is imploding just as I thought. Um, a report came out by Paul Levine the other day, which was just awful. It made her look like a bad human being. So, a Michigan State freshman, who I will not name because it is completely unfair to name this person, wasn't even charged with anything. Nothing. None of the none of the none of the none of the what's it called? None of the situational things that happened there came out. None of the details. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. Details of what happened even came out. He wasn't even charged. This is gross. Right? This kid, oh, he is owed an apology, and the Michigan State president came out and asked for an apology for this guy. She owes him a big apology because that is terrible reporting. You can't put someone out who hasn't even been charged yet. He hasn't been charged yet, right? And this kid is not, I know he's a walk-on freshman. He probably won't play a single minute, maybe ever, at Michigan State. He could be Connor George and just playing the last couple of minutes his junior, senior seasons, possibly. He's not going to be playing at all here at Michigan State. So he's going to have to go out there in the real world. And if they just Google his name, things will come up, and possibly that could ruin his chances. It's disgusting reporting from Paul Levine. She should be ashamed of herself. And this thing is imploding. You have the president coming out and saying that it's sensationalized media. You have the former AD Mark Hollis coming out and saying that this story is completely false. I'm in the camp right now where none of this is true. I think Izzo and Dantonio will be fine. I think they'll both be coaching next year. I think once the new reports come out saying what will actually happen, I think ESPN will look terrible. Will they apologize for their terrible reporting? Probably not. Because everybody knows how great ESPN is. They would never get anything wrong. But this is terrible, terrible. I feel bad for that young man. He was slandered. All right, and I really feel for Mark Dantonio because everybody in the media is blasting him and Izzo. People were saying Izzo wasn't going to make it to the next weekend from when the report first came out, but they didn't even read it. The report has holes everywhere. Everywhere in the report. It's like Swiss cheese. It's terrible reporting, and it was called out by little people. So it's gross. It really is, but, I think Izzo, I think he's fine. But terrible reporting by Paul Levine. Terrible reporting by ESPN. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. Sorry for the absence, but I had to take a break. So, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.